Thank you, Meg. Workiva, the world's leading cloud platform for transparent reporting. Workiva simplifies complex work for thousands of organizations around the world, including more than 85% of the Fortune 500. Our cloud technology, the Workiva platform, is a fit-for-purpose, connected reporting and compliance platform that enables our customers to streamline processes, connect data and teams, and ensure consistency, all within a controlled, secured, audit-ready platform. Workiva customers connect critical business data directly from source systems to our cloud platform, seamlessly enabling collaboration and deep integration into existing work streams. The Workiva platform provides unparalleled trust, transparency, and assurance for all stakeholders, and that's why thousands of enterprises across 170 countries use our platform. It's also a great place to work. We have trusted and equipped our employees to work from whenever and wherever is best for them. We've been on the Fortune 100 Best Companies to Work For list since 2019 and attribute our success to our values-based culture. By staying true to our company values, we've become a stronger and even more innovative team. As we scale, we know that continuing to develop our workforce is essential to our growth. Innovation thrives when people feel welcomed, valued, respected, and heard. We're glad you're here to join today's discussion with our Workiva team about authentic growth into leadership. Joining me today are Marie Yu and Maria Costa, and I'll turn it over to them for introductions.
I'll start. I'm Marie Yu. I am a director of engineering for our governance, risk, and compliance solution. I will have been at Workiva for 4 years in August, which is hard to believe. And I started my career in data engineering and moved into engineering leadership, which has led me to where I am today here.
Thanks, Marie. I'll go next. I'm Maria Costa, currently a solution engineering manager at Workiva, so helping provide technical expertise to solve customer problems. I'm a CPA and have held various leadership positions in previous accounting and technical roles. I'm a member in Workiva's Women's Burg and currently co-lead a Lean In Circle. I'm based in Dallas, Texas, and primarily work remotely with Workiva's flexible environment, and I'm really looking forward to sharing leadership strategies with you all today. I'll pass it back to Kristen.
Thank you both. I'm Kristen Bevins, and I believe everyone's extraordinary. As a director at Workiva, I lead groups of cross-functional engineering teams to build our incredible platform. I previously guided teams in financial services, aerospace, and consulting organizations. Leadership in our Womenberg allows me to create opportunities for our community to engage, educate, and exchange ideas with each other. I'm based out of Colorado, and I enjoy learning something new. So with that, I'll turn it over to Marie to help kick us off.
I would love to kick off the session by hearing your perspective, Kristen and Marie, on when did you know that you wanted to become a manager? And also the age-old question of, do you see a difference between being a manager versus being a leader?
I will start, and I think, let's see, I knew I wanted to become a manager really early on. I think my personality type just sort of helps me lean into that naturally. In fact, my very first job in high school was at a bagel shop, and a month into my first job, I was a shift lead. So I think it's just been something that I've always really been drawn to. And then as far as there being a difference between a manager and a leader, I definitely think there is a difference. The main thing being that leaders are all around the organization, right? You don't really need to be a manager to be a leader. And I think in some ways, a manager is a little bit more tactical, where a leader is really people and influence focused. So, I think there's a big difference, but to be really good as a manager, you probably need to be a really good leader as well.
I think a lot of that resonates with me as well. I have a fun story about being kicked off the school bus when I was about 7 for being bossy. It's because I was trying to organize other students. And I think a lot of women recognize and can echo similar stories. I was always naturally interested in details and most importantly in people. And I think that really led me to wanting to find opportunities where I got to be involved at work. I had a lot of advocates who gave me opportunities to lead and really supported my learning and growth throughout my career. including nominating me to be a manager. I think management does provide a position of authority and decision making in business, but I think that leadership is critical, and we believe at Workiva that leadership is throughout the organization. It's not just managers, and that often comes through influence. So.
Okay, so I'm going to go into our next question, and that is, how did you determine what your leadership style is?
Ooh, this is a fun one. I've done nearly all the assessments about preferences and communication styles, ranging from Myers-Briggs and Emergenetics to DISC, you name it. But I think most important for me in terms of determining my leadership style was determining my motivation for the thing. And for me, it was really all about impact. I realized early on that the biggest impact I could have was by putting people first, people forward in our decisions. And that really positioned a lot of the decisions that I made around the types of roles that I chose and the people that I supported in the organization.
I'll jump in here too. So one of my favorite quotes is, people don't leave companies, they leave managers. So figuring out my leadership style early on was critical. Just like Kristen mentioned, that a great way to do this is by doing those different assessments, getting 360-degree feedback and really just increasing your own self-awareness to review your strengths and the different leadership styles that are out there. So these helped me identify that I have a servant leadership style. So really prioritizing the needs of others to help lift them up and help them to achieve their dreams and ambitions. And so I've always wanted to help others in life, and leadership has just been a way for me to do that in an impactful way. And it really aligns with Workiva's culture and leadership principles and values as well.
These are really fun questions, and this is such a great conversation. One of the things that I think all of us have resonated with in our past is people who have advocated for us or supported and coached us along the way. I'd love to hear each of your perspective on how mentorship helped you advance in your leadership journey.
Mentorship has a special place in my heart, so I love this question. I have been lucky enough to have had impactful mentors, informal and formal, throughout my career, especially here at Workiva. These are people who are amazing advocates who continually provide support and exposure. They share similar values, and they typically have strengths in like the areas that I want to grow in as well. So carrying those great examples of mentorship, I've definitely been a mentor as well. And recently, last year, I decided to pilot a mentorship program for the entire solution engineering organization last year. So it was great to see the feedback that 90% of participants felt they achieved at least one goal, and it was great building that trusted relationship to talk about personal and professional life. So really, it was evident for both mentors and mentees get tremendous value, and I can speak to that personally as well. True mentorship really isn't a one-way street. It's a way for both people to show up, grow, and learn together. And so happy to announce it's been a full rollout of the mentorship program this year, from 15 pairings for mentees and mentors to over 40 now. And so I'll end with this. Obviously, I'm very passionate about this topic, but there are two ways that people can learn: through mentors or through mistakes. So mentors can definitely accelerate your success.
Yeah, I mean, jumping in also, I also help facilitate and organize the R&D mentorship program at Workiva. And I have been both a mentor and a mentee in that program and outside of the program. And I think they're both really so important for your leadership journey. Honestly, having both sides, they're both so great. And I think from my perspective, active listening is probably the most important thing on both sides, but just really being able to bounce ideas and get help with self-reflection and improve communications are a few of the things that I have personally gained. And I will say I've gained from both having a mentor and from being a mentor. So really, I think that both sides are just super huge for growth.
That's great, Marie. And I know you talked about your leadership journey. Just a question to throw out to both of you. How has Workiva specifically supported both of your leadership journeys?
Kristen, do you want to start? Yeah.
Thanks, Marie. I think outside of some of the opportunities we talked about with mentoring and Workiva really gave me an opportunity to lead. I transitioned to Workiva as a senior leader in the engineering organization, and that created an opportunity for me to leverage experience that I had in other types of businesses with other types of teams. One of the things that I think is so critical about both um, recruiting and hiring and where we place people from a workforce perspective is recognizing potential. Where do we see that someone has leveraged a piece of experience here that we can leverage over there? And for me, in addition to creating opportunities to lead, Workiva has also given me opportunities to connect with other people, whether it was through the individual teams that I was working with or through things like our women burg, where I had the chance to get to work with both of you.
I guess kind of adding on to what Kristen just listed, I totally agree with all of that stuff. I think at Workiva, we are given lots and lots of opportunities for personal development as well. I mean, we have a lot of training, we have coaching, and of course, mentoring, the items we just listed. There's lots of things to do, like reading about industry trends. We have focus groups and round tables, which Marie listed a little bit right before this. And I think the three of us all hold a leadership role in one of our burgs at Workiva. And for me, that's also really helped me expand my network outside of just my normal engineering and R&D network. So that's been really huge, I think, for my leadership journey, just learning about more people, more roles, and like across the globe too. So it's been really cool. Okay, so I guess leading into the next question, what do either of you two say to an experienced professional who would rather remain an individual contributor, or maybe even someone who is currently in a manager role and wants to return to being an individual contributor?
I'll go first. I would absolutely say congratulations to that person. What a huge world of opportunity in front of them. I firmly believe, as a people manager for many years, that management is not the only path forward, especially into senior level roles, but also especially in technical organizations. Internal mobility and flexibility in the roles that we allow people to choose gives them the ability to opt into what they want to learn next. And we have seen lots of opportunities where people have moved into different kinds of positions over time. They've moved across different parts of the organization, moved into management, back out of management, and maybe back into other kinds of leadership roles. I think the foundational components of what drives people to be great managers also we see those same kinds of critical skills in senior roles, senior leadership roles as well, but for sure in some of our technical organization where we know we want somebody to bring that perspective of awareness of how to grow, awareness of how to connect people into other parts of the business. So what a great opportunity.
And just to elaborate there, Kristen, because you said it well, thankfully at Workiva, we do have a growth path for individual contributors and managers within different departments, including solution engineering. So it's something I didn't always experience at other companies. You know, when you move out of company, it's a typical moving up the manager path, and then you're stuck with, you know, if you don't want to go that way, there's not a lot of other options. So it's really great to see, you know, Workiva and other technical companies having both career paths that are supported. So Kristen mentioned this, but I'm a firm believer that leadership has nothing to do with your title. It's a responsibility to help lift up others up. And so it can be shown whether you're a manager or an individual contributor. There are leaders on my team who are individual contributors who make a choice to lift others up every day. as a manager, it's our job to support what success looks like for that individual person in their own career aspirations. So, really, I would say to the professional, how best can I support you? And also just encourage them to continue leading whichever path that they choose.
I think we have time for one more question, and so I would love to ask Marie and Marie, if you could go back in time and give yourself some advice on when you became a manager, what would that advice be?
Whew. That's a great question. A lot of advice. I'll try to limit it to three pieces. Number one, I'd say carry a growth mindset with yourself and your team. So allow grace to fail forward and learn from your mistakes. So you won't always do everything right at every step of the way. It's okay. Number two, dig into those surface level answers. So ask more questions. There's likely a deeper why to the behavior. That was a mentorship tip of advice that I got previously. And then number three, people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. So empathy is definitely a superpower.
Let's see. I think I also have three things that I would go back and tell myself. And I think the first thing is if and when I start to feel stressed, really stop and take a couple deep breaths before acting and really just take a moment for myself. And honestly, I still tell myself this at least once a week now. So I say I would go back and do it. I've learned over the years, breathing is really important. So pausing and breathing for a moment will give me time for clarity. And then I think the second thing is going to be just to give myself and others grace and really kind of similarly with empathy, like also just kind of assume the best, right? Always assume the best in people and yourself. And then the last item that I really always fall back into is I really lean into over communication as a leader and a manager. I think it just helps with context and it just really is just sort of the thing that I fall into each time. So more communication, clarity and communication, just as much over communication as possible, I think is best.
Those are all such great recommendations. I have one that I'll add as we get here towards the end. I think early on, one of the pieces of advice that someone shared with me was I could learn from anyone. And that is sort of an innate part of who I am. I'm very driven by personal development and growth. And so knowing that there were learning opportunities all around me was really reassuring. I knew that I had people that I could support and that would support me that I could learn from as I stepped into each different role, be it as a manager or another senior leadership role. So I hope all of you have had the chance to learn a little bit from us today. And Meg, we will give it back to you.
Kristen, while we're waiting, I know you didn't get to share about mentorship either. Do you have just any kind of story around mentorship? Maybe that's impactful to share as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I appreciate you asking. Um, one of the things that I have always believed is that mentorship is so important to grow. Um, there are great ways for us to, as I mentioned, learn from just about anyone. And I believe in having a team of mentors, maybe not a single mentor. I think it's unreasonable to assume there's a single person who will provide all of the insight that you might need. I also believe in differentiating between mentorship and what I like to call sponsorship or advocacy. So there are places for both of those kinds of roles in your sort of support toolbox. People who can provide you insight, people who can say, I've been on that path before. I know here's how I might answer. People who will give you great candid feedback about the um, the situations that you're in. And I like to differentiate that from someone who's going to advocate and support and sponsor you in when you're not in the room, someone who knows your potential and is leveraging that in a way that creates opportunities for you as well. So I do think that it takes a village of people. It takes a group of people to support, and there are lots of ways to ask for those kinds of help. Both of you chatted about being both a mentor and a mentee, and I think that that we are a company that has really valued that space. So I would love to recommend to people that it's safe to ask for someone to guide you along the way. It's safe to ask for other people's experience, and that really can help you as you move forward.
Hey,
Meg, we'll give it
ladies.
back to you. Hi.
Apologies. That's what I get for thinking my headphones were connected and they were not. So apologies for that. But I'm ready to help out. Do we want to see if we want to take some questions from the audience, or what would y'all like to do?
We're welcome. We're open to answering any questions as we go.
Okay. All right. So most of the questions that people have, at least currently, were around like mentorship and stuff. So one of the things I like to ask, because this is all right, whenever we have chats about mentorship, a lot of the time people have questions, and a lot of the time those questions kind of come at it from a very formal place, right? They're like, how do I find a mentor? How do I ask him to be my mentor? And it tends to start along the lines of, how do I write a good email about it? And it extends. I'm telling you, y'all, there are people that are like, okay, but do I need to send like an engraved invitation? Like, do I send them a present to ask them to be like, questions get wild, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. Like, I found my mentors in kind of unlikely places, but your opinions here are what people really want to hear. So what is the most unusual place that you have found a mentor that you might not have thought that's someplace I could find someone to connect with before? I can answer you. Mine came from a ski store, so let's talk about that. But like, sorry, Kristen, how about you? What's like kind of the strangest place you found a mentor?
I think often I have found people who have supported me in my career in places that I didn't expect. It wasn't always my manager, or in that case, even another manager. There are often mentors that I have found in peer colleagues in other parts of the business, but also someone who knew someone who was interested in something that I might want to know about. And I have found, because I do take sort of a people first approach to how I engage, that I treat mentors the same way. They're humans just like me, and I think it's fair to go to them with, at least initially, a casual ask of, hey, I'm looking for somebody to help me grow in this area. Looks like that's something you have some experience in. I have some questions. Would you be glad to help me sort of wade into that territory? And I found that sort of casual connection approach to work well for me in the past. I've had people come and ask me for mentorship in that same way. And I'm generally in a situation, somebody asked me recently, how many mentors do I have? I usually try to keep a handful. Calendars get tricky, anything more than that. And I try to have no more than a handful of mentees as well.
I like that. Mari, how about you? What's been like the oddest place that you found a mentor, or maybe the oddest way you asked a mentor? Ask someone to mentor you.
Yes. So most of the approaches I've taken are more informal, but this is a great piece of advice. If you're looking for a mentor, again, look for somebody who's excelling in something that you want to grow in. And then also, you have a lot of value to add too. So find something, that they're looking for that maybe you can assist with. Like, I always like to encourage mentees to think about their strengths and just where they can add value to that relationship as well. And then I don't necessarily have an odd place, but family, I've always had mentorship through family. So very, very grateful. So through my immediate family, my husband, but one I will call out my grandma. So some of the best mentors have believed in me when I don't even believe in myself. And my grandma was actually a really great example of this. So I still go back to the moment where I didn't pass one part of the CPA the first time, and she comes to me and she goes, the test is wrong. It's not you. I could do anything I wanted in the world. And so, yeah, the best mentors, look for somebody who's gonna believe in you no matter what, even when you're at your low in life or work as well.
I like that. I like that advice a lot. Because you don't know when you meet somebody if they're going to be influential on your career or not. And I especially want to call out what you had said about learning something from the people you are mentoring as well. Because right, this is a two-way street. When we talk about networking, we talk about finding a mentor, what we're really just talking about is like we're making adult friends. Truly. That's about it, right? You're creating a relationship with this person. And especially when in the early days, it can feel very like, gimme, gimme, gimme. I don't know anything. Please give me all of your advice. Keep in mind, every single person knows something that you do not. And it doesn't matter whether it's whatever's going on with Kate Middleton right now, or it's, the quadratic formula, whatever it is, that's something that you know that they don't. So trade the info. Like that is, it doesn't have to be a weird thing of like, well, they're mentoring me. I can't tell them, blah, blah, blah. No, share the info. If they're your friend, you would share that info, right? So then, yeah, like share it. Marie, I'm going to go to you last here. What do you want people to know, or what do you want them to think about when they're thinking about places to find a mentor that are not like, at a mixer, at an event like this? What should they be keeping in mind as like, oh, that would be a good opportunity to, talk to somebody or try and find a mentor?
Interestingly enough, I feel like honestly, you can find a mentor anywhere. Like my most interesting place I found a mentor was at the gym randomly. And so I would work out every Saturday morning. I had a 6 o'clock class. I would go. Coincidentally, this same woman and I would always be paired up. And turns out she actually bought a house a couple houses down from my house, like 6 months into that. So she's a very close friend now. We're totally opposites. We're very, very close. So honestly, I would say, lean into just random casual relationships and conversations. And I think for us, we have totally different jobs. I mean, she's chief people officer, very, very front facing. I'm pretty back on the engineering side. We definitely mentor each other a lot. However, we clicked. And I think that's what is helpful is really when you meet someone, wherever it is, if you really click and you feel like, I like this person, I fundamentally like them, that could be the start of a really, really great mentorship relationship and turn into a really good friendship as well.
Yes, yes. Oh, all right. I cannot agree with all of this enough. I'm loving, loving, loving all of this advice. I hope that y'all are enjoying it as well. I'm keeping my eye in the chat, and it looks like we're answering questions people do want to know. So that's great. All right, we are at the end of time, but I just want to say a huge thank you, Mari, Marie, and Kristen. Thank you all so, so much. The prep work that goes into this does not go unnoticed. We really appreciate just, the time today, as well as all of the rest of the effort y'all have put in for today's session. Super, super appreciative. And thank you so much for teaching us more about Workiva. I hope that we will get to do this again soon.
Thank you.